Hi everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well folks, I'm back home from my New York City vacation, and I'm back for more blogging. So today, I want to talk about a special Disney character that not many people remember these days. And that character is named Elliott, from the 1977 film Pete's Dragon. Now, at first, Elliott may seem like a goofy-looking dragon that likes to help people. Well, that's technically true, but there's more to him than that. You see, Elliott is a guardian spirit to children, helping them to find a friend until they have a family to love and care for them. However, he can be a tad childish himself, acting all clumsy and mischievous, but doesn't mean any harm, though. In the movie, Elliott becomes a guardian to an orphan boy named Pete by trying to find him a family while protecting him from the Gogans and saving him from Dr. Terminus. Now, to be honest, this movie really didn't have much of an impact on me as a kid. But it's not because I thought it was bad or anything. It's just that I never actually owned the movie, and I only watched it a couple times either at my grandmother's house or on Netflix. However, I should at least give this movie a rating of 77%. Now, what's interesting about Elliott is that he was animated by Disney's new team of animators at the time, led by Don Bluth. And yes, he's the same guy who would later quit Disney and direct his own animated films like The Secret of NIMH, An American Tail, The Land Before Time, Anastasia, and more. After the movie, Elliott would become a float in Disneyland's Electrical Parade. And I'll never forget the time when I saw it in Florida during December 2014. And just recently I heard it's gonna make a limited return to California next year. And then, in 2012, the people at Junction Point Studios made Elliott into a boss in Epic Mickey 2, known as the Blotworks Dragon. Packed with thinner breath and a large buzzsaw tail. However, a couple years ago, while I was recovering from my first leg surgery, I learned that a remake would be made. And, my friends, I believe that moment has finally come. But the question is this: is the film a masterpiece or just a misfire to me? Well, let's find out. Released on August 12, 2016, the movie is, well, Pete's Dragon. Now, let's begin. A woodcarver named Mr. Meacham delights local children with stories of a mysterious dragon that lives deep in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. His daughter Grace believes these are just tall tales until she meets a 10-year-old orphan boy named Pete, who says he lives in the woods with a giant friendly dragon. With help from a young girl named Natalie, Grace sets out to investigate in this fantastic claim to be true. So, my thoughts? Well, I already said that the original didn't really have much of an impact on me as a kid, but this movie, well, I thought it was very playful, heartwarming, tear-jerking, and absolutely beautiful. Okay. Pull it together, Joshua. Get a grip. But anyway, before I get ahead of myself, let's move on to Mustang notes. Okay. In March 2013, Disney announced the remake to be written by David Lowery and Toby Holbrooks from the Sundance hit Ain't Them Body Saints. It will reinvent the core story of a vulnerable Disney family film and will not be a musical. Principal photography commenced in January 2015 in New Zealand with Lowery directing. On October 2nd, Barry M. Osborne was set to be an executive producer for the movie. The film would be shot in live action using Panavision Panaflex cameras. The animated dragon Elliott was entirely animated by Weta Digital in CGI instead of the usual hand-drawn animation. Speaking of which, I like how Elliott looks here. He looks very realistic. Plus, the idea of him having fur makes him look like a good guy version of Smaug from the 1977 Hobbit film. Rehearsals began early January 2015, while some news reported on January 26, 2015 about the beginning of the shooting, which would last through April. Live-action filming locations included the Bay of Plenty, Taupo, Wellington, and Canterbury, while CGI will be done at Stone Street Studios. Later on, in February 10, 2015, a press release confirmed that the filming had commenced on the film in New Zealand. Shooting was taking place in and around Wellington, which was intended to move later to, Rotorua, and then to Tapanu, where the old Blue Mountain lumber mill was the mill in the film, and the main street became Millhaven for 2 weeks. Production concluded on April 30th, 2015. And what's more, the film's music score was composed by Daniel Hart. Now, what I love about this film are the visuals, which are really outstanding, from the forest, the town, to the lumber mill. Plus, the flying scenes are just breathtaking, and the car chase nearing the end of the movie is really intense. As for the story, well, it's really heartwarming. Some parts are really touching, and some parts really make me smile or even shed a tear. But now that we're done with Mustang notes, let's move on to the characters and their actors. Now, let's begin with Elliott the Dragon, whose vocal effects are done by John Kassir. Known for being in such films like Casper, George the Jungle 2, and of course the Pocahontas films. Now, aside from his CGI redesign, Elliott is still very lovable, as he was back in 1977. He's playful, brave, friendly, and really funny. But he can get scared at times. And I just like the parts where he turns invisible and where he takes Pete for a ride on his back. It makes me want to give Elliott a big hug. Next we have Pete, played by Oaks Fagley. Pete is a young orphan boy who lost his parents in a car crash when he was 5 years old, and lives in the forest with Elliott the Dragon. Now, I do like that Elliott has been taking care of Pete during those 6 years, but at the same time, he doesn't understand much about such things like civilization and normal human lives. Kind of similar to Tarzan in a way, but he does improve as the movie goes on. Next we come to Grace Machem, a forest ranger played by Bryce Dallas Howard, known for being in Spider-Man 3 and Jurassic World. Speaking of which, I should blog this film someday, but I can't do it alone though. Anyway, in my eyes, Grace is a wonderful character. She's sweet, caring, and she makes a great mother figure for Pete. Next we come to my second favorite character in the movie, Natalie, played by Una Lawrence. She's the one who found Pete in the woods while he was observing the lumber site. What I like about her is that She helps Pete understand things in civilization, and she makes a great friend. We also have Natalie's dad, Jack, played by Wes Bentley, from the 2007 Ghost Rider film. Jack is a lumber mill owner. What I like about him is that he's a great employer, and he's really nice to his daughter, along with his future wife and adopted son. Next we have Grace's father, Mr. Machem, played by Robert Redford, who got to voice in the 2006 Charlotte's Web film. In my opinion, he serves as an important character, because not only does he narrate the movie, but he also believes that he discovered Elliott in the woods years prior. Plus, he makes a great supportive character as well. The last character I need to talk about is Jack's brother, Gavin, played by Carl Urban. This guy is our villain, but he's not one of the best new villains, because after he discovers Elliott in the woods, he plans to capture him and use him as some kind of tourist attraction in order to make a quick buck. That's pretty predictable for villains these days. Now let's move on to my final words. Overall, this adaptation of Pete's Dragon is really a remarkable movie. It does a great job focusing on the relationship with family and friends. The rest of the story is really touching. The cast did a great job playing their characters, and the sets and visuals are just wonderful. So if you haven't seen this film in theaters yet, then go see it now. And be sure to bring your kids with you. You'll not be disappointed. I give this film a rating of 98% out of 100. Well, that's it for today, folks. Be sure to join me again next time. Mustang Power!
I'm really not a bad guy. I bet that's what you thought. Most dragons are fierce creatures, but I assure you I am not. Some people think I'm dangerous, too frightened to inquire. But that's how it goes when everybody knows your breath is made of fire. But why would I make a castle that takes forever to make it through? That's what inventive and able but slightly mislabeled intelligent dragons do.